All right, so we are recording, and this is the first time that I do one of these in person. I'm in the middle of what is this? What's
This
in this neighborhood?
this is Queens Richmond Hill, by Woodhaven. Um, it's a nice, decent area. Has its ups and downs.
And my guest is, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is. I am a former resident of the area of 34 years now.
That's a
So
long time.
yeah, and you know, birthday's coming up, so we're gonna add another year to that.
Oh wait, when's your birthday?
January 31st.
Oh, at the end of this month?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go out. I'm okay with that.
Definitely. So I'm looking forward to it just to get another one under the belt.
So before we start actually talking about stuff, in the background, hopefully it's not too loud.
Yes.
They're talking about aliens and flying saucers.
Government secrets.
What's your take on all of this?
Honestly, I'm very pro for it because I definitely do believe that there's a lot of stuff that we don't know that if we did know, I mean, I just think it would clear the air for how everybody's been acting, but it seems like we're not going to find out until they think and believe we're ready for it.
So pro as in you're okay with the aliens and everything else coming out and whatever,
Right.
and they being like the government. You think the government's hiding all that shit?
It's it's pretty crazy to actually sit there and believe like they would, but it only makes sense if they would, because why would there be such a big scandal about this and then our number one power of source doesn't know? You know,
Yeah. So do you think that the president knows or doesn't know?
I kind of feel like it's a 50-50 because I'm almost sure that the president has an idea of what could be real, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they keep the president also in the dark with certain things.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like on a need to know basis, and you don't want to be accountable for what's fully going on. And the only way you can deny that is if you don't know it all.
Yeah, and the presidency is a part-time job, right? You're in there for 4 to 8 years and you're
And
done.
that's it.
So
Yeah,
why would you tell all your secrets to an employee of four
exactly.
to eight years? Not only
Exactly.
that, but I actually saw a video one time where they were talking about the real reason they don't want to come out with the truth is certain companies, let's pretend Boeing, Apple, whoever, has been given this technology to decipher and build off of it, break down. If other companies find out that they got an advantage, then they'll just sue the shit out of them.
Hmm.
They can sue the government, they can sue the company, because all of a sudden the government is picking winners, right?
Yeah,
Like who came out with the new first cell phone? Let's just pretend it's Nokia or whatever.
I remember Nokia.
Then how did they develop that, right? Did they get an advantage from the government saying, hey, we have these spacecrafts,
Yeah.
break it down? Because then all of a sudden IBM, everybody else can sue the shit out of all of them, and it just creates a giant disaster, right? So forget about religion and forget about all that
Oh,
stuff. It's all about money, supposedly. I don't
and a religion is another deep rabbit hole. Honestly, it's
know.
such a deep rabbit hole because it's like everyone wants to believe that the religious part of our belief is as real as it sounds. Nobody wants to believe that religion could be something that was orchestrated to calm the public's mind, which, when you think about it, there is an advantage if you could have thought that up and said, you know what, let's make religion something for people to believe that is real because
Right,
you won't feel alone.
right.
We could mask it with the belief that it's a spiritual belief of something that runs on faith, therefore it can never die. It's not like something that can be proven either. So
Right. That's a key element in religion, right? You can't
right, it's
prove it or disprove it.
right, and no one wants to disprove it because then you're just like you're completely wrong, like you're going against the entire world on every belief.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
even if you disprove it, if they don't believe you,
you're
what's the
just an
what's the point, right? Like,
you're an asshole.
yeah, they'll just look at you as a fucking piece of shit. All right. So before I get into the reason that I wanted you to be on this podcast, you want to tell me a little bit about yourself, like how you got to where you are, because I know that you're working with immigrants, families here in New York City,
Yes.
and when you watch the news, all you hear is, man, these people are coming in droves, build a wall. If we had a wall, we could have prevented this, blah, 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 the problems. I know that you work with immigrants. How did you get to the point where you are doing what you are doing? Just a
Okay.
quick, short summary to how you got to where you are and what you're doing after that.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, my first official job started back in about 2008, let me say. And 2008, 2007, I started working at like a grocery store. And from the grocery store and just seeing what it was like being responsible, it just dragged on to me taking almost any job offer just to get the experience because I liked the way that felt to just learn different things. So through that realization of knowing that I could teach myself so many different things, it just never allowed me to stop at just one job, which on certain resumes, they would question me always like, why did you last 2 years here and just a year there and 4 years here? I always hit them with the same thing that I just like to continue learning, regardless of what's going on. So, fast forward a few years, I get my kids, I get a lot more responsibility, and I just happened to get a foot in with the immigration process because one of my good friends were already in it, and it wasn't 100% official how I got in, but the point is that I got in,
Yeah.
and I'm not mad at it. But now that I am invested in this, I get to see a different side of what the news is projecting onto the public. So,
That first role in immigration, what was that? Like, how did you? What was that first job? What were you responsible for?
basically, I started up as a caseworker, which is just the people that enroll the immigrants as they come into our facilities. So we basically just do intake information. We take their names, we take their G numbers, which is the number we give them once they come into the country to the facility of where we are.
Are these legal and illegal, or just legal, or just illegal?
They're legal and illegal, but it's only legal because some of them come through with parole,
Hmm.
which is basically like they came in through the processes, and then other of them that just came in crossing borders
Right.
and just happened to be at
And
the.
all of them get the G number.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's the only way we could really identify them as just being in the system.
Okay.
So if I swear to God, I haven't seen so many Mohammeds in my life. Like they just had the same name so repetitively that I was
Yeah.
like, they had to start putting their like last names as like just T or M or H or whatever. And I
Right.
was just like, yo, this is ridiculous. But
That's crazy.
yeah, so it was a lot of that. But that's basically how I started. I was the caseworker. I just basically ran them through the system, just checked them in, and then we would give them general information of what we would provide as services to them, as like attorney numbers or basically healthcare information or how to get their ID going. So it was enough to start me up in the process of knowing this is how we're starting to take care of them.
Right.
And I guess when they saw that I was very attentive, I was very like on top of the way I wanted to make sure that they were being helped. I guess that's why they chose to bump me up and then make me supervisor.
Gotcha. So you were a caseworker. You were just kind of taking in the names, information, and like doing the quote unquote processing
Right, yeah,
of
yeah.
these immigrants. Now, in that space, how would you describe the conditions, the morale, like just the environment as a whole,
As of where we are or where they came from?
where where you were processing them?
I'd be honest, there's a lot of processing centers around the city, and some are really better than others, but being that I started up in one of the locations that I actually fairly knew, they kind of opened this up in a bit of a rush.
Okay.
So it didn't get to be as finished as we would want it. But overall, when you're looking at people who don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to
Right.
sleep, you kind of would take whatever is up for grabs. So I don't approve 100% of the way it's looking, but like I said, overall, just being homeless on the streets, this is 100% better than anything else right now.
Right. And when was this that you started the processing job?
I started this back in September.
Last year?
Yes.
Okay. So fairly recent
Yeah,
here in
very.
the Biden administration.
Yeah, yeah,
I have a
basically.
joke where everything that happens that's not good, it's Joe Biden's fault. We haven't gotten snow in almost 700 days. It's Joe Biden's fault,
It would
man.
have to be, right?
Why is he not giving us snow? What did we do to deserve not getting snow?
We elected Joe Biden.
Ah, Joe Biden, why does he do this? No, but back to the topic here. So again, you don't have to tell like specific roles or anything that you're doing or locations, but when these people come in, what is the normal condition of the immigrant, right? Like, how did they even get to New York, right?
So it seems like a lot of the immigrants that come in, because at first I started working at the mail shelter. So from the mail shelter, they come in from all over. They come in from either Florida or Texas and Cali. Very few come in from other places like
Mhm.
Ohio or something like that, but they come in through these main places because that's where they would, regardless of where they come from in the world, they would have to then be processed through those centers to then come to New York. So it just seems like they're all going through the same channels of coming in through the states by those forms. But before that, their stories of how they had to just struggle to get to that point. It's really heartbreaking, just to think that they suffered a lot of loss, and all to be sitting and right in front of me, just to get this not so great environment that I would say, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's the best from than running in the jungles or
yeah.
being chased by mobs of whatever. So it really it's like a bittersweet type of feeling.
Do you think, can you tell from talking to them, working with them, that they I don't want to say appreciate it, but do they communicate that to you? It's like, yo, this is like the best ever. Or are they still kind of like, yo, what is going on? Are they still like lost? Are they like, what is that like, right? Like, what are they telling you? Like, what can you sense from them is kind of what I'm curious here.
Well, with multiple people, I ain't gonna lie, I've sensed a lot of different auras. Like in the sense of how you said it,
Yeah.
I felt the amazing, grateful type of I can't believe I made it.
Yep.
Like this is better than everything I've ever known type of aura. And then there's some of them who actually came here with more of a bougier than I would have thought attitude. Like they come in here and they're like, "What is this?" Like
Yeah.
I thought we would have more. I thought we would have separate rooms. I thought we would, and it's more like, okay, you had an expectation of what New York would be like, but it's really not what you thought, and it's because we weren't expecting to be receiving thousands of people on short notice,
Yeah.
So I've dealt with people that felt accepting, happy. I've dealt with people that are just, like I said, they don't think this is what they thought it was. And then there's people that's in between where they could feel like this is good enough, but where can it get better?
Right.
So
Right.
that's why we provide them with the information of what we give them. But then what makes it hard for them is that they don't understand that to get by in this state and in this country, you have to put the work in.
Yeah.
You can't just get somewhere and assume someone's just gonna run the whole mile for you. You have to do some type of work where whether it's a phone call, whether it's some foot traffic or whatever it is, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
So when they're told that that's how it works, it almost seems like it's unreal to them because they feel like I thought this would be a little more easier, like if they're gonna get Ubered everywhere.
So this is my curiosity here. Do you get Cubans?
Yes, we've had a few Cuban. Uh,
Is their process any different?
for the Cubans and the Venezuelans,
Yeah.
they actually, when I started processing them, we were told that they get like this exempt of a process where they were supposed to be treated differently. Like their paperwork gets handled a little differently. Certain attorneys we would send them to would have to specifically be just for them because
Hmm.
they were different from people who were coming from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And on a very short notice, they ended up stopping all that.
So
So
now
it
they get treated the same as
the
everyone
same
else.
as everyone else, basically. So the first people who came in that I saw, they got that little special treatment of
Yeah.
understanding what was what, but then ultimately it ended up going to just rounding them up with everyone else because it was just becoming so overwhelming that we couldn't keep this balance of you being okay with this and then them not.
Yeah, and I was just curious because I know that the laws are a little bit different, right? So like if a Cuban lands on Florida or anywhere else, legally they don't get deported, right? Because they're fleeing a communist country,
Right,
from my understanding. As opposed to like if someone from Honduras landed, they could get deported immediately, right?
right, right.
So I guess another thing that I'm curious about is a lot of these people, was their plan to come to New York, or are these people that out of nowhere they're like, hey, get on the bus, get on the plane, we're shipping you to New York because quote unquote New York is a safe haven,
Yeah, right.
and the Texas, Floridas, Ohio's, and other states are like, yeah, well, fuck immigration, fuck New York, fuck the liberals. If they want the immigrants, they can have them, and they just send them all to New York, right?
Yeah, right.
When you talk to these people, do they want to be here, or are they kind of like, yo, how did I get here?
That's a good question. It seems like some of the people that I've spoken to, it seems like they are like some of them, most of them knew they were coming this way, and a
Hmm.
lot of them already had friends or somebody over here that was like, "Hey, listen, we'll receive you if you
Mm-hmm.
could," and that's kind of how they made their way over here. I think very rarely would they fight the idea of going anywhere else because everyone hears so much about New York
Right,
worldwide that they kind of look at New York as like this is the place you would want to be.
right.
Over being in Colorado or Texas or anywhere, they know that New York is like the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the second they heard New York, they were just like, sure, sign me up, throw me on that bus. I'm okay with that. But I haven't really ran into anyone who felt like this is not where they want to be unless there was family where they had somewhere else. Because we
Yeah.
had to do that also. We would have to transfer them to another if they chose to go anywhere else. Like once they got to New York, if they wanted to go to Cali or they wanted to go to Florida, or if they wanted to get shipped somewhere else to where their family was, we paid for that. Like
Really?
yeah, like we actually would write them a voucher, whether it was for a plane or for a bus. But very rarely it wouldn't be the plane because not a lot of them have their passport.
Yeah.
Some of them do come and they have their passport from back home, so it kind of makes it easier to put them on a plane. But if you don't, then
Because they have
it's
an identification.
right. So without that, then you basically would have to ride the bus, and however long that takes, that would be the issue. But we would pay, and you would be able to be on your way to reconnect with your family.
So, again, not to say that I agree with this, but a lot of the arguments are why are U.S. taxpayers paying for these people to travel to go see their family, right? Or go be where they need to be or where they want to be, right?
Right, to get reunited with their fam. I'll be honest, it's mind you, we really don't have too much of a say of where our tax money goes to, right?
Yeah.
Like we normally get charged on our paychecks, on our salaries or whatever, and we don't really know what that money gets used for. We know that it all goes together and it gets rounded up into a giant bunch where then the government
Yep.
will then say wherever it gets spent on, and we will then hear about it later. Just like the bullshit war that happened. Like I'm pretty sure if you would have asked the entire country, hey, listen, we're gonna sponsor $100 billion for
Yeah.
this, we all would have been like, hell no. Let's stop that and let's just give that back to us if anything. So we normally don't have control over where our tax dollars go once they leave. We just get told about it because it's kind of like, nah, it's just the law, we can say, for them to tell us. But it's not mandatory for them to tell us before.
Right.
So it's like, I guess they must have found a little loophole in this to say, you know what, listen, we want to reconnect them, we'll reconnect them. Sure, it keeps them moving in the system where we then make it easier for more people to come in. Because that's what I noticed, that our shelters basically hold people for just about 30 days, at least in the men's shelter. In the family shelter where you have women and kids, their holding is for 60 days.
Okay.
So What I'm seeing is that everything runs in a cycle where it doesn't matter how comfortable you get where you are, you're mandatorily have to keep moving at some point in time. And you can start in Brooklyn and you'll end up in Manhattan in the next 30 days. And then from Manhattan you'll end up in the Bronx, and then from the Bronx you'll go back to Queens, and you'll do a whole circle, and you can do this for up to a year, 2 years, however long it takes. And that's the thing that's crazy, is that if they don't have nowhere to go, or if they don't put much of a hustle in to get out of the system, that's basically going to be your life until
That
anything
year,
changes.
until that year is over.
No, and I believe it will continue going. Like,
Really?
if let's say hypothetically, if everything stays the same with the government system, and there is no changes to wanting to send them back home or to just keep them where they are, that's basically how this system is designed. It's going to keep them rotating nonstop.
Yeah.
So until they choose to get a job and get an apartment somewhere, which they can willingly do, there's no backlash on that. You can get a job, you can get it, but it's all depending if you can. But if not, they're just gonna keep cycling the same systems from each borough, going round and round until they find something better.
I didn't know that they could basically indefinitely
Stay in a loop.
stay in the system where they're receiving like a shared room, a shared space. I'm
Yeah.
guessing an allowance of food and
Right, yeah, and that's literally what it is.
huh.
So it's not like we discard them and say you got to hit the streets now.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last thing the government system will want from this. They don't want to be looked at as like, okay, we let them into our country, but now they have to be homeless.
Yeah.
So that actually defeats the purpose of even letting them in. If that's the case, you might as well leave them where they are and let them be homeless there, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's like they kind of look at it like, okay, so this is what causes the ginormous flux of what's happening, because we're just receiving intakes at every location. We're just receiving and recycling. So when 10 people come into one location, you have another 10 to 20 people that have to leave that location. So that's happening amongst all locations.
So I know that you had mentioned that there was like an influx, right? Like all of a sudden it was with little warning,
Hmm.
tons of immigrants coming in.
Yeah.
Does that mean that is that why the hotels were starting to be used as shelters?
From
Because I imagine, let's pretend that there's like 500,000 rooms or space for 500,000 immigrants at any point in time,
Yeah.
and we're at 400, and all of a sudden there's an influx, and now we have 600. Where would you put the extra 100,000, right?
Well, that would be when they start moving people around.
Right.
So let's say there's 400, and then there's only a space for another 100,000, and then there's another 100,000 lingering.
Yeah.
That's when they will take them and just break them up into other shelters around the city.
But like I'm just talking about like, let's say max for the city is like 1 million.
Oh, like if there's nothing else in the city?
Right, because I remember,
That's a
and
good
again,
question.
it was like a year, 2 years ago. I don't remember when it was, but they were saying that a lot of hotels were starting to get used as shelters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that was part of the reason because there was that influx. Because I remember in Texas, they were like, fuck these immigrants. As soon as we catch them, we're shipping them to New York. We don't give a shit who they are, where they're coming from, anything, right? You get in this bus and we're shipping you to New York to
Yeah.
make some sort of political statement, right? Like, I mean, these are human lives
Right, right.
that are being used as, a joke or as a way to score political points, which is sad, but it's happening.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. It just boggles my mind to think that you can literally be here and not have to worry about shelter for pretty much forever. And I'm sure that these are not ideal locations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't like, yeah, the way I said it, and mind you, there's no other way to tell them this, because I can't tell them that you would then be discarded from the system after a year, because that's not the setup we have. So imagine if we told a bunch of immigrants that, like, hey, listen, you guys only have a year to really do this process. That would really set up a state of mind where they're racing against a clock. So they wouldn't feel a sense of urgency to hurry up. They would think like we're only here for a matter of time, and they might just do something crazy because they figured, hey, we're not going to be here that long anyways. But you tell them, listen, you can do this for as long as you want. It kind of will build a bit of an independence for them to think, I want better than this, at least.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean this is a tricky one, right? Because I'm not. It's such a weird, uh, like I study like game theory, right? It's like, what do you do? What is the best decision here, right? It's like little nodes, right? Like with this given information, where do you go? And I don't know. For me, as an immigrant myself, right?
Mm.
Yes, you always want to do better. You always want to do whatever. But if at the same time you don't want to create this like dependency, right? Where and I don't know what the laws are here in New York, right? I don't know if an illegal immigrant can just show up to any place and be like, "Hey, I'd like a job."
No, they can't.
Right. So for that reason alone, I would be like, okay, how about this? You show up to New York, you move to the US, you made it, you're gonna start citizenship, your process of citizenship, right?
Right.
Learn English to the best of your abilities. Because even when I got my US citizenship, there were people there who couldn't speak English, and I'm like, how
And
isn't it part of the test? Like what the
like, wouldn't
fuck?
you want to have known it?
Yeah, like I'm a little confused. But some of them are like older, some of them are like
Yeah, they.
whatever. So it's I don't care, right? If you don't speak English, I don't give a shit, right? But I think that the exchange, and this is where my economics and my political background comes in. If you want citizenship, cool, you'll get it in a year and a half.
Hmm.
Once you become a U.S. citizen, then you fall out of that qualifier of we're just going to get free housing, and then you go into, all right, here's your allowance if you're not going to have a job. Here's your allowance, and I think it's probably cheaper or less. I don't know how people like that don't work. I don't know how much they get, right?
It feels like peanuts for the way
Yeah,
they make it sound. Like it's almost like it doesn't stop. But then I look at it and I'm like, dude, but you're not doing anything. Like you get an allowance for just being here, and there's people that literally were born and raised here
right,
who will just be homeless
right,
and have nothing.
right. So if they cannot get jobs as illegal immigrants, and if they struggle to get jobs as like legal immigrants with limited English, limited whatever,
Mm,
give them the opportunity to become U.S. citizens, so then they can go get jobs, so that it's a little bit easier for them to get jobs.
right.
And then, yeah, to your point, people that are born and raised here who are getting almost nothing, put them into that category, right? And if they don't like that, then they can kind of
Drift off it and
get a better job or do whatever, right? I don't know. It's complicated and it's not easy, and every situation is different, right? Like a mom who has 3 kids here, how are you going to be like, yo, get a good job? It's like, well, how? She's got to take care of 3 kids.
right.
So
And
that becomes a little bit more difficult.
right, and that's kind of where they and that's for family shelters, so in the family system, which I now started in that one, I'm still learning the process of what they want and need from them. Like where they're allowing them to go into schools and everything. So they're starting out the way we would. They put them in schools. They at least want to see that you're doing the right thing as far as you getting over here. So they at least want to make sure that you're checked into one of the facilities. After you're checked into the facilities, you have to be there long enough to receive a residency letter. With that residency letter, that's the proof, which is like your ID just for being here, which that you would take to the schools, or you'll take wherever you would take it as proof that you are here, that you're not just an illegal, you actually are trying.
Right.
So they go through somewhat of the same processes of what everyone else does. It's just I feel like they have a little bit more leeway when it comes to jumping the line as far as getting the attention faster. Because people here in New York that are homeless, I've had a very good friend, may he rest in peace, that he was one of the first people that helped me understand that this system does work, but just for those who attend to it. And it's just crazy
Right.
that his name was Pablo as well. But he was honestly he was like a father figure to me, like a best friend. Honestly, he was my employer from years back, and he was actually a victim from the 9/11 when it happened.
Oh, wow.
So he developed that cancer that hit everyone at some point in time,
Yeah.
and he became very ill. And ultimately he lost his job. He ended up being homeless, and he was the reason why I understood that anyone who chooses to stay homeless is by choice. Like
Right.
he always said it to me. If you have two arms and two legs and you can be out with your hand out asking for money, why can't you stand in McDonald's and do something for McDonald's or do something for another, And it made sense to me because once I saw him go through the process of going from a shelter to another and then seeing what they gave him after the time he put in, they literally found him an apartment. They gave him a voucher for furniture. They gave him food stamps, and it was decent enough for him to run his life. Yes, he did have to, stick it out in shelters for months out of a time,
Yeah.
but ultimately you come up when you're there. So I understand that in shelters you face the possibility of being robbed. You face the possibility of having someone who just doesn't like you
Yeah.
and wants to bully you, maybe. So it's a lot of different scenarios that you are faced with. But if you look at the bigger picture and you tell yourself, you know what, this is my best way out, rather than just being in the streets to an
Right.
uncertainty of scenarios,
Right.
you might as well be in one where you know for sure the outcome. So he's the one that really showed me that if you put yourself through the system, it might suck, but there's an award. You just have to reach for it.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and this is why, as liberal as I am, I will push back on other liberals who are like, oh yeah, the system's like fucked up, it's all broken, it doesn't work, and it's like, well, is it perfect? Absolutely not.
Mm.
Could it be improved on? 100%. But I do think that if you have a decent mind and determined to get out of a shitty situation, you
You
can.
you can make it.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a very socialist country that will give you shelter, that will give you food, will give you a lending hand, right? Like
Yeah.
when my little brother was young, he was on like the WIC program, like women and children or something like that.
Yeah, that's that food where
Yeah.
they can even find you jobs and everything.
Right. So my little brother he was getting like our family was getting a certain amount of rations of like juice, milk,
The basics.
rice.
Yeah,
Um, and again, that's just a very good thing to have, right? Like
definitely.
people don't acknowledge how socialist the United States is. We are very socialist. We just we have an education problem.
Oh yeah.
We have an education problem. We have a demonization
Oh
problem, right?
my, that is a
Im-
that is a whole topic on its
yeah,
own.
like immigrants are bad. Like first it was, oh, why are black people in schools? They don't deserve to be in schools. It's whites only. Once it got integrated,
Terrible.
immigration started to kick in from like south of the border, and then it's like, oh, now it's the immigrants are the problem. Now it's like this is the scary part, and not to like get too distracted from everything, but artificial intelligence and everything else. They're like, oh, it's only gonna take away those jobs that anybody can do, right? And it's like, yeah, but
If
80
anybody can't do it,
80% of these jobs are anybody can do it. So you're telling me that 80% of the jobs are going to be gone?
yeah,
What's next, right? So no, but to go back to the whole like immigration thing, like right now you're in the family,
in the family shelter part of it. Yeah.
and what are you seeing there? Like
So it's kind of similar to the male shelter. The only difference is that when they come in a group. And from what I've seen so far, there's been families of four, five, and it's the husband and the wife.
so the husband can be
Right. The
okay.
husband can be implicated with them. So it's not
Yeah.
like they just seclude them and say, no, you guys got to be separated. Once you're together with your family, that's kind of how you would get in,
Mm-hmm.
because they also have a thing where if your husband is separated and you just mention you have a husband, they'll try to reconnect you guys,
Yeah.
just so that. But as of right now, everyone who's come in, they've came in together. And normally they all have infants, and then they have about 13-year-olds, 8 years old. And the process of having them is almost similar because we explain to them the same
Yeah.
thing. We tell them, I would give them the information on the lawyers that they would need to call to start their asylum, because that's basically the process I like to give them first and foremost. Like, once you're here, you might want your medical, you might want your ID, but the first thing I know you should be doing is talking to a lawyer who's going to start your asylum process.
Yeah.
because as soon as he starts the asylum process, you have to wait about 150 days, which is about 5 months of waiting time, and then after that point is when you qualify for the medical card, your working permit, and all that.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of why I tell them, if you jump on that right away, you could sit back and do nothing for the rest of the time being, but you'll be waiting for something eventually. So that's kind of how I like to treat the first ones who come in, because
Yeah.
I know there's something to wait for, whether you get stuck or get moving. There's something to wait for.
Do you? A buddy of mine was telling me that this is why Trump was right about building the wall. Because if we build a quote unquote wall, it would prevent most of these immigrants from being here. And to what you said earlier, right? About like homeless shelters, they're still putting themselves in danger in some of these places, right? Because
Yeah,
you
of
don't
course.
know who's in there.
Yeah.
You don't know who's like enemies. You don't know who is going to be like a bully. You don't know anything. You don't know how long they're going to be here. We don't know how much money is going to get spent on them. We don't know if they're going to be good citizens or not good citizens, or what their future might even be, right? They might be
Right.
deported in a year or two, right?
Right.
I don't know if they do get deported or not, but the point is, my buddy's like, to take away all of that uncertainty, to take away all of those issues, you finish building that wall and prevent anyone from coming in. Like, how do you feel about that stance?
On the stance of the wall, I've done my little research to figure out what it is about this wall that's going to be so great about it. And it seems like there's a lot of, there's two sides of it, because the good side about it is that it's slowed down from every angle that they can come in from, because, it's not going to be like they're just going to jump in through every point of it. But also, there has been told that they can still get over the wall.
Yeah.
So even though there's a wall, whether it's 10 feet, 20 feet, they will find a way to get over the wall. Like, as humans, that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to overcome the obstacle in front of us.
Yeah.
We don't look at it like a wall and go, oh my gosh, look, that's so tall. No, we look at it like, okay, cool. What can we do now to get over that?
Yeah.
And whatever obstacles seem challenging at that point, you just got to strategize how. So from what I've heard in the years before when Trump started the wall, I heard people were stealing materials off the freaking wall. Like the barbed wires that they had on the top.
I believe that.
They were stealing it. And then mind you, the way that the government figured they were stealing it is because when they went back into Mexico, the Mexico police or whatever, they were finding that they were stealing the barbed wires off the top of the wall to then shelter their house.
That's hilarious.
So mind you, they weren't stealing it to like break through. They were
Yeah.
stealing it to like shelter themselves.
That's hilarious.
So it really makes you think like, all right, so do you really want to come over? Are you trying to come over? Or you just look at it as an opportunity to get more for yourself?
Yeah.
And even if the wall goes up, I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to get through it. Because there's even videos today where there was like this massive crowd of so many immigrants that were just running towards the wall and making it, just everybody barging towards the wall and getting over on it, that not even the people guarding it were doing anything.
Yeah.
They literally just stood there watching. And it kind of makes you think, yeah, it's either you're going to stop and watch or you're going to open fire, because I don't think anything else is going to stop them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just put your hands out in front of thousands of people and they're just going to stop like this is you parting the sea or something. This is really something that they not going to care. If they're already running towards it, it's because that's their obstacle. They want to make sure they get through that.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like, where is our line of defense when it comes to all of this? Because I don't know if you've ever heard of, like, a few years back, there was this YouTuber, or I don't know if he was a TikTok, I don't know what it was, but he brought, and I mean, this had to be the craziest thing ever, but he brought the freaking idea of, why don't we storm Area 51? You ever heard that?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Dude, it had to be the most funniest thing, because I looked at that like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Everyone here knows about Area 51. We all talk about it like, is it real? Is it not real? But the fact that he made it like storm, like, yeah, let's all storm it. It became so threatening to the public that the news went on air and said, do not do this.
Yeah.
They made sure to make it public that you definitely should not try this, because the government is standing by the fact that if you dare do this, we will not only stop you, we will open fire
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah.
So mind you, you're telling me that hundreds of thousands of immigrants can run up to a wall that is designed to supposed to stop you at that wall, but you wouldn't dare open fire or do any type of physical harm to stop them. But yet we make a theme or a whole gimmick to storm a place that we're not even 100% told is true.
Right.
But yet
right.
you are willing to defend this place with teeth and nails if you had to.
And they'll shoot U.S. citizens.
They'll shoot you. They don't care if you're a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
They would just shoot you for being there. So it kind of made me feel like, wow, like, where are our priorities when we choose to say what we would defend and what should be okay?
Yeah, it's such a tricky conversation because, again, most of these people, that's guess, just a random guess. I'd say like 80 to 90% of these immigrants are simply looking for a better life,
Yeah.
simply looking to like improve their quality of life, are willing to kind of like put in a little bit of work to say, hey, you know what, I can send my kid to school,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I may never be rich. I may work till the day that I die, but my kid will have the opportunity to not have to do that.
Right. And prosper through everything.
And then there's always going to be the 10 to 20% that, in Trump's quote, bad hombres, that are looking to cause a little bit of trouble, who are looking to see what they can scam.
Yes, and there are those.
Right.
There
so let's
are
not
those.
pretend that they don't, right? Like,
Yes.
they will come in and, I remember my buddy sent me one time an article about an illegal immigrant who got drunk, killed a family or something like that, driving. And he's like, yeah, man, this is what we want. We want these illegals coming in here and like doing this. And I'm like, look up how many U.S. citizens
has done the
got
same.
drunk,
Yeah,
and got behind the wheel and either crashed, killed someone, did whatever. You can't just point to the examples of a non-U.S. citizen that did it and ignore the U.S. citizens that did do it, right? Like, that's not how it works.
But it's easy to piggyback off that.
Right.
Because when you want to depict the immigrants for the problem, that's all you need. Is you need that one scenario where you can say, well, look, he did that. So now who are we to say that it won't be a mountain of these people trying the same thing? And I get it, because it's easy. It's almost like racism. It's how it is. It's just when one does it, it's easy to try to say they all might.
Yep.
So even in the shelter that I was in with the male shelter, mind you, I speak 2 languages. So I speak English and Spanish. So I have an overlook on what I hear when I hear it.
Yeah.
So when I've gone into work, a lot of these migrants, they hang out on the outside. They're not always on the inside. They like to hang out outside. They have their little scooters, and they're sitting there just talking, rambling about whatever they want, or they could be sitting there rapping or doing a bunch of whatever they like. So when I've come across, by passing them, I've come across conversations where I hear them saying it's getting hard, I can't take it right now, and I'm down to just do about anything. Like, I'm about to do what I had to do, like, back home. So I already heard myself that they were almost accepting the lifestyle they already ran from, and try and implicate it over here. And then there was other people that they were doing regular, rapping and whatever. But mind you, music is a form of expression. I do music, so therefore I understand that whatever you spew is something you either know or are practicing. So when I'm hearing all these raps coming out of their mouth about, holding people up and sticking people up here, and I'll kill you here, and I'll whatever, it just makes me think and understand that this is what you have in your mind.
Right.
So now, mind you, we're letting you in. Like, you already let them in. Like, you can't ignore that. But it doesn't mean they can't change. It's just change comes with the fact that someone's willing to show them a different way.
with
Now,
opportunity and education.
right.
Yeah.
If we don't give them enough opportunity to think differently from what they already know, then yeah, they're not gonna change. There's no way to believe that. But if you leave it up to them and you say, hey, listen, this is just a waiting process and figure it out on your damn self, you can only go back to what you know. So it's like I understand, and then it's like I don't want to fully understand because it's like I know by me saying I understand what they're feeling. It's like me accepting who they can be
Hmm.
on the level of who they were already.
Right.
But we can't change that because it's already part of who they are.
Yeah. There's no easy solution,
No.
and the idea of giving these people citizenship scares the shit out of Republicans,
Yeah.
which is to me stupid. I think you should want more people in a democracy, and you want more people to have citizenship because then that means that you can hold them responsible.
For what happens.
Right.
One step, but
And you can actually see what they're made of, right? Like, okay, cool, you got full access to work, you got full access to do everything. What are you gonna do?
right, because
Right?
that's basically how we treat them when we bring them in. We tell them, listen, everything that you're supposed to do, if you don't do it before your immigrant, because they give them 2 dates. They give them an immigration court date, and then we give them an ICE check-in court date.
Mhm.
So the immigration court date can fall within a year time frame or a little less, and the ICE check-in, yo, these freaking dates are so far. It's literally 10 years
Jesus
to almost
Christ.
from 8 to 10 years later. So the way I explain it to them is, listen, the way the system wants to see it is that yes, you have to go to your immigration appointment, let's say in 7 months from now. But before you get to that immigration appointment, you definitely need to have a ICE appointment already on file, because if you get to that immigration appointment and they see that you haven't even done the ICE appointment, they kind of look at you like mom and pop, like what have you done since you got here? You know, so they kind of want to make sure, like, okay, you spoke to an attorney, you started your asylum, you've done your ICE check-in, and now you're looking for work. Okay, you look to be on the right path, so
Yeah.
they can trust the fact that you're here. So this is why I say, if you don't put no work in, it's gonna be a no-brainer when you show up to court and you're like, hey, listen, I ain't do none of that stuff,
Yeah.
but I still got my hand on. I want to know if you guys can help me. It's gonna be like a no-brainer. Like, no, dude, you gotta go.
And do you? I don't know if you know this, but how often are these situations where the guy, the gal, the family has been here for a while, try to kind of like do what they could, maybe not to the best, not to the least, and then get deported? Do you know if that happens?
Honestly, I haven't. That's a good question, but I haven't seen that for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
You're not in that department where it's like, oh, this is
Right,
the family that checked in, and now we're sending them back to Honduras, right?
right. Now, the only way I can know that I believe I know someone has been deported like that is if they already have like a pending record of something, like if they already have like some type of criminal record,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
and you know, and they've
Yep.
come in, because I've already seen people checking in with ankle bracelets.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
like they have full on ankle bracelets, like if they
So
were
how
on
do you
house
feel about
arrest.
that then? Because that's another argument that they make, right? It's like, yo, these people that are coming in, we're sheltering, we give money to, start breaking laws that they know exist, right? There's no way that
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh wait, I didn't know I could steal like money from this, you know. Now, and then they don't get deported. How do you feel about that?
I feel like crime is crime. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? All around the world. I don't care what nationality or what part of the earth you come from. A crime is a crime. Anything
Yeah.
that we choose to do that we know isn't normal to society, we understand that we're doing it because it's easier.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just easier. There's no better way to put it. It's just easier. Like if you ever go out and you rob somebody, you didn't have to work, even though you gotta work to rob somebody, but
Yeah.
you didn't have to spend hours. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta use intimidation.
Making $8 an hour, you know.
Yeah, you just, hey, listen, you could rob the right person and you can make almost 6 months worth of a salary at one point. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that type of mentality is dangerous, because once you get accustomed to understanding that you might be able to make a fast flip like that, you don't want to go back to trying to
Yeah.
work. It's like these hustlers that sell drugs or sell guns or whatever. They don't want to sit somewhere and work for $15 an hour. They just want to know that that pay comes just as fast as the handoff, and that's it. So
Should they be deported then?
for the ones who do it, I think honestly, if you're already caught, let's say multiple times, because the first time it's like if let's say if this is your first offense and you've never done anything before, and let's say you get
And no
caught,
one is hurt.
right,
Yeah.
and it's just like a little petty theft, like
Yeah.
you stole something, because that's the thing with this country though. If you steal something that's over $500, that's federal.
Yeah.
And that's the thing here. Like, if you run into a bodega and you start stealing chips, all right, that's petty. That's nothing. But you run into someone in the street and you snatch their iPhone, that's $1,400.
Yeah.
That's already a felony charge in itself, just because you did the same exact action that you would have in a store for maybe $2, $3. But because you did it with a phone that has higher value, now we get to hit you with felony charges. So I think it varies on why you should be deported. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you actually sat there and robbed somebody and you hit them, you knocked them to the floor, you physically hurt them just to take their belongings, yes, I feel like you're a bit violent to the point where you don't care what can happen to them. Like, I'm not perfect. Lord knows that in my days I've had moments where I done things that shouldn't have been. But like I said, we were adolescents, we were young, and
Yeah.
it was like, listen, I was running with the wrong crowd and I allowed things to happen. But now I had morals in what I was doing. Like, even though I was out doing the wrong thing, I couldn't watch somebody that was ready to get robbed and think, hey, let's beat them up. You know what I'm saying? We're already in a pack of 10 people.
Right.
We're robbing 2 people, 3 people. We outnumber them. Why do we need to beat up on them and then still rob them anyways? So that's kind of the role I played every time I did some stupidness where, all right, cool, we'll run around, we'll get what we got to get. But I kept the crew at least in check where, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
We could pin them to the wall, we could yoke them up, however, but there's no need to physically start punching them down to the floor when they're already saying, here, you can have it.
Right.
The second you say, here, you can have it, I told them that's where I draw my line. There's no need to keep going after them.
Yeah.
So there's people that they don't care for that. And for people to be confronted with an immigrant that doesn't care that you're giving it up and still wants to, hurt you, then yeah, you deserve to be deported.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think about a month ago, honestly, from the site that I was at, there was a reported raping of a resident within the area. So I guess,
Jesus.
yeah, like I guess the person, she must have been walking, going home, or I don't know where they were going. But apparently, I don't want to give the information of where because it would just give too much away. But apparently, it was reported that she was raped. And it kind of makes you think like, okay, so money's not the only thing on your mind.
Right.
Like you're a man. You have other necessities that you feel like you want to get to. But,
Right.
If this is what it's leading to, it bears the question of what is it all going to add up to? And mind you, like immigrants roll deep. It's like a gang. When you all are from the same cause, it just grows the number of power of how you look at each other.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, if every single immigrant from the state chose to come together, like mind you, let's just say they all came out of their fucking shelters and they all say, hey, let's meet up in Central Park and let's run fucking Central Park. There would be such a scarce atmosphere because they wouldn't have to do anything. They wouldn't have to say anything. All they have to do is present themselves in that fucking park. They will guarantee be more than 10,000 immigrants all huddled in one spot. Now, people would freak just because they don't know what they're planning. And they don't have to be planning anything. They could just be like, hey, let's all hang out and let's just show our numbers.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it would be like, oh shit, what the hell is this? And everyone would lose their mind. So it's just crazy at how things can affect depending how you go about it.
Yeah, like that point just reminds me about so one of my favorite books is the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I've probably said this a billion times in the podcast, but there's Malcolm X had this strong theory that the last thing you want is people from the ghetto coming together, right? Because when you have no equity, nothing to lose, no rights, what do you really have to lose, right? Like they could go in and just cause havoc.
Mm-hmm.
They could go to Fifth Avenue, go into every store on Fifth Avenue,
And walk out.
take everything,
and,
take everything,
and not even run.
right? Because the numbers, the strength, the unity would be unmatched. No, but what he was saying is like, you don't want these people coming together, right? And he was like, we can get them together and show the white man what we are capable of, right? Because we're tired of just sitting here and getting beaten. We're tired of sitting here getting all our shit robbed, because like banks were coming into these black neighborhoods and charging them like 30% interest rates while they were charging white neighborhoods like 10% interest rates, right? So that's
Huge difference.
triple.
Yeah.
If you call the cops in the black neighborhood, the cops will take their fucking sweet time if they show up. If you call cops from the white neighborhood, they show up in a fucking heartbeat, right? So they were just like, yo, we're tired of this inequity. We're tired of all this bullshit. He started to get the idea of bringing all the ghetto Negroes into Washington, D.C. for a march, for a protest, and see how fucked up shit could get. The president, I think Lyndon B. Johnson, if I remember right, he got Martin Luther King and said, hey, yo, how can we get this under control? Martin Luther King, you organize something. You bring in your peaceful protesters. You bring in the people who don't want any sort of violence, any whatever. And so that's what ended up coming about of that. All right. So not to get too distracted off of everything that we just talked about, but to go back to kind of the environment that we've created here, at least in New York, with all the immigrants and everything else. Like, is there anything that you think is like a possible solution or things that we could be doing better to kind of address some of the challenges that we're facing outside of the typical build a wall or deport them all or whatever?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, for my location where I'm at right now, what I've come up to thinking would help, at least, give a little balance to the way they're living out here, is, I'm sorry for the ambulance, yeah, and the firefighters.
Yeah, we'll give them 2 seconds.
Yeah, it is every day. But the little thing that I thought would help out, at least, their state of mind, is that I work with behavioral health. And basically what I, kind of brought to my directors is that I feel that we should have like a little time frame or an area where we can at least let them have like a little gaming time where they can play cards or they can play chess or play something, because they going from whatever environment they were just at to then being deported from every other state to then coming to New York. And then once they're here, they're only taught that they can come and go as they please. They have a bed where they can sleep, and that's it. They don't have no recreational room where they can, feel relaxed and watch TV. Like, we don't have none of that. There's absolutely none of that. So I made it my request where I told them, like, listen, if we can, I personally said I wouldn't mind bringing in my games, like my Uno cards, my chessboard, and just to have a little area where they can come down late overnights and just, play amongst each other or play
unwind a bit.
Right, just so their state of mind doesn't have to be so focused on everything that they got going on, because it's going to be like that regardless.
Right.
So I made that approach to them. Honestly, all the supervisors and managers thought it was a great idea. I was just waiting for the approval from my own manager to tell me it was okay. And I was going to open up a table. I already have my games and everything in the trunk that I'm literally just waiting for the okay. Once they give me the okay, but since now they're moving everyone around, it kind of makes it tricky to how I'm going to pull this off. So,
is there anything else that can be done to kind of improve the situation?
For them, it would have to be something that would have to be from a higher up, honestly, because it would have to be something that the government would think, all right, let's change this about how they're coming in and how they're going to stay here. But as far as them doing a change, I don't really see too much of a change on them doing it, because they already feel like they're doing enough.
Yeah.
Like, they're already providing them with food, they're providing them with shelter, they're giving them Metro cards to move around. they're giving, not that they're giving, but there are locations where they could pick up free clothes and stuff like that. So they already feel like there's enough going on for them where we did the most already, or we're doing what we need to start
Right.
this. So I don't really feel like they're gonna want to do more than what they're doing because we're still on the first improvement of watching how it all's going. So that's why me personally, I'm taking it upon myself to do a little more to just relieve their state of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's one of the big tragedies here is like how much we talk about mental health around, schools and at work and everything else, but
Mm,
these immigrants just went through hell.
literally.
They could probably benefit from some sort of like, whether it be therapy or just time to relax, unwind, play chess, whatever, to do something to get them out of that, trauma state. And not
Yeah.
to say that all of them have faced the most severe trauma in the world, but it can't be good to come to a place where you may not know the language, you may not have connections, you may not know anything, and then they're like, "Oh, here's your first date. It's in a year and a half.
Hmm.
Okay, now what?"
Yeah, now just sit around
Right?
and wait until further
Like, yeah,
notice.
you can go in and out, but you also don't have money to do much,
Right.
and then you really can't work because if you're illegal, then they're not. You're gonna struggle to find work. What do you do?
And it's like I tell them, there's nothing wrong with them going from store to store and saying, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for work. Anything you can provide me with, if you could, because there's nothing wrong with that. If someone
Hmm.
wants to pay you under the table, then that's perfectly fine. No one's, it's not looked down upon. But then again, when you can't put them down as an employee,
Right.
But
Right.
if someone can use the help and they need someone sweeping the front of the store or you need someone just washing the dishes, then you can do that. And that's basically what I tell them. Like, don't lose hope. Like, you could walk into multiple stores daily. It shouldn't stop you on what stores you should go into. You just need to go in and present yourself. And I try to tell them, first and foremost, when you walk into any store, try to go in with a smile regardless of what you know what I'm saying. Just try to go in a little humorous, a little like, "Hey, how you
Yeah.
doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because chances are a smile will get you a long way. If you walk in and you looking like, "Yo, I just need this job, man. Like, give me this job," you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to the whole mental health, right? Because if you're already like traumatized and stressed and
You ain't
everything
trying to
else,
smile.
who's gonna be like, "Oh man, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you
Why aren't you
happy?
happy about this?
Come on, like life is great."
Like, not for me. I just surpassed a near death experience,
Right.
and I'm telling you, the stories that I get, they're some of them are really heartbreaking, really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know that there's a million stories out there. There's a million tragedies, but there's also a million good ending, happy ending stories out there as well.
Mm.
And I think at the end of the day, people need to remember that these are humans, right? Like
Yeah.
they have feelings. They will have good days, bad days. There will be good people, bad people. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to like eat. Everybody wants to sleep comfortably. Everyone wants shelter. Everybody wants like the
Agreed.
basics, right? And I think it's a really good thing that we are providing the basics. Is it good that we provide it forever? I don't know. And that might be a byproduct of the process taking 20 years, right? If their ICE
Mm.
date is in 10 years,
That's half. Yeah, it's half of that.
okay, so then what are you going to tell them to do, right? Like go sleep in the subway while you wait for your appointment? No, you can't do that.
Right.
But then to what degree is it fair when it comes to like U.S. citizens who don't really have anything and are getting, you know, almost nothing? I don't know. It gets very complicated. I do appreciate you kind of giving in your 2 cents here. Um, and not only that, but thanks for the work that you do, right? Because
Thank you.
I'm sure there's a lot of other things that you could be doing, and there's a lot of other jobs that may or may not pay better, or may provide less stress, or whatever,
Right.
and the stories that you have to see, and the witness, and all this other stuff can be easy. So
Yeah.
shit like that, everybody that does a little bit to help out, you know, I think that's a job that's overlooked.
Yeah, and it does take a toll. It does because we weren't told that we were going to be bombarded with stories. Like, I never thought I would have to sit here and actually think to look at it through someone else's eyes of the torment they've gone through. And I mean, it goes from people being threatened, people being chased, people being shot at, people being raped. There's so many different stories of what they came from. And now I have you here in front of me, just hoping to get the most help that I can provide you with now.
Right.
And it kind of, it's not like I have to take any of the stress with me, but if you're a decent human being, you would only want to help somebody that clearly needs help.
Right.
It's just, as New Yorkers, it seems like a lot of people are prone to just ignoring the help. How many times do we walk past homeless people and we just shrug our shoulders and go, I don't need to spend my dollar here, like, go get a job. And I don't like that idea. I don't like that state of mind, because if they could get a job, I think they probably would. But it's just, there's multiple aspects of how that person needs to be in order to get that job. For one, you can't smell like a homeless person, let alone look like a homeless person, and then act like you're not homeless. So there's a lot of things that they don't already come with that would require them to get a job. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's never simple, and I hate how politics in general, when you watch TV, it's like oversimplification, right? Oh, let's just stop them. They can just stay in their home countries, blah, blah, blah. But, coming from one of those countries, like, it is a challenge to live down there, and it is a challenge to thrive, and it is a challenge to do all that other stuff. Here, it's so much easier. The quality of life is so much better. The number of opportunities are so much bigger. Everything is just so much better outside of the food, right? Like, the food is always going to be better in other countries, in my opinion. But
I agree.
But outside of that, yeah, you might be able to get like slightly better healthcare in other countries, but the line might be longer. It might be more difficult to get. Blah blah blah. I don't know. At least here, you have the opportunity to at least put yourself in a position to grow generationally. In other countries, you might thrive and still only hand down a little bit, and the family may not grow the way you would want it to grow, right? I don't know. It gets complicated. There's a lot. Again, I thank you for your service. I thank you for, kind of like trying your best to kind of help those that needed the most, probably.
Of course.
But yeah, is there anything else you kind of want to just end it with?
No, I think a lot of what I said kind of sums up what I've seen and what I've learned about my position right now. And hopefully, we could always circle back and do a part 2, just so I can give a good review of what I then learned from the family shelter and everything, because this is clearly a topic that's not going to end with this one conversation here. Like, this is going to be ongoing for a while. And even if they choose to send them all back, that's still going to be a conversation waiting to happen. So,
and who knows? It might get more exciting with Donald Trump in office,
Oh, I think it just might. So hopefully I could come back and spend a little more time on your show, and hopefully, give a little peace of mind of what I think is happening.
Hell yeah. And thanks for letting me do this at your place. I mean, this is, again, my first time doing it in person. So much better, even though we had, noises all around us here, out here in Queens, it's all good.
It adds character to it.
Hell yeah, it does. All right. Again, appreciate it, man.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.